The next question is, critically analyze the proposition that there is high correlation between India's cultural diversities and socio-economic marginalization. Here the question is asking about critically analyze, that you need to go for the yes part of it and you need to go for the no part of it also. And it is also asking about what is a high correlation. Is there any high correlation between the India's cultural diversity and socio-economic marginalization? So we need to show with some examples that is there any correlation? If not, you should counter it. No, there is no correlation. Now you can introduce this sort of question of how the cultural diversities exist in India. You can introduce in the introduction, we can start about the cultural diversities in India. The cultural diversities in India will shape many things. Because we focus on the unity in diversity. We focus on the unity in diversity through cultures. Even though we are having the diverse cultures, we are unity in diversity thing. You can introduce these sort of things. Now we can go for the next part, where what are the cultural diversity, what are the diversities present in India? The diversities part. See, the diversities, like the first diversity we have is the language diversity. In the language diversity, we have 22 official languages and 1200 dialects. More than 1600 dialects. Dialects is nothing but the how we speak. Even though we are a Telugu speaking people, we have different dialects. That dialects are present. That is the language diversity we have. Then second, we have the religious diversity. There are few religions which are originated in India, like Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism. That's how diverse India is in terms of religion. Then third, we talk about the geography. Like how geography is diverse in India, which shapes the culture. Here the third diversity is geographical diversity, which shapes the culture. This shapes the culture of the India. Then fourth, what is the diversity which is present? The racial diversity we have. The racial diversity. So we have the Caucasoid, Mongoloid and Dravidian diversity. Caucasoid, Mongoloid and Dravidian diversity we have. These sort of diversities are present in India. You can quote more examples also, the diversity examples. Then, how is there any diversity between these cultures and the marginalization part? That's what the question. Is there any correlation? So you can quote down, is there any correlation between the diversities and socio-economic marginalization? Socio-economic marginalization. If you can quote yes, there is high chance of correlation. Give some examples. There is historical discrimination, of few religions and castes. Few religions and caste. For example, the Sachar Committee report. On Muslims. The Sachar Committee report on Muslims quotes that Muslims have been traditionally discriminated in terms of schemes implementation. Then we also talk about the marginalization of tribes. For example, the tribes which are present in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh. And we can also talk about the socio-economic disadvantages of linguistic minorities. For example, the Bodo speaking people in Assam. Then we can also quote about there is diversity in the marginalization as well. The people are getting the diverse cultures. So there is diversity in the marginalization. There is diversity in marginalization. So there is diversity in marginalization. Some people are more marginalized. Some people are less marginalized. And there is disadvantages faced by religious minorities. This is how a correlation can be drawn when it comes to the religious, cultural diversity and the socio-economic marginalization. Yes, we have quoted some examples, but there is no also, because they have asked about critically analyze. There is a no for it also. When it is no for it, we need to quote down, there is the economic growth of some of the marginalized communities. The economic growth in some communities. For example, the Parsis. The Parsis have grown, even though they are the marginalized section, they have grown through their own economic might. Then we also can quote, after the economic growth, we can quote about how the affirmative action like reservation taken, policies taken to reduce the socialized marginalization, the marginalization of these communities. Then we also can talk about the education and health measures which are taken, which are not keeping in mind the diversity. For example, the Ayushman Bharat scheme. The Ayushman Bharat scheme, there is no diversification. Even though there is diversified, even though you are a Muslim, even though you are a Hindu, both are given the same treatment. There is no discrimination. That's how there is no correlation. Then the last point which you can quote, that there is no correlation between these things, is there are success stories of people who are marginalized and have gone up. So the success stories of marginalized success story of marginalized. Like you can quote the example of Ambedkar also. You can quote some of the examples of some of the people like Kiran Bedi also, who have been marginalized because of the gender diversity also. Those sort of examples you can quote. This is how you can claim that there is no correlation between the diversity and the marginalization. Now, how can you conclude these sort of answers? When you write the conclusion, India is a diverse country. India is a diverse country. Even though India is a diverse country, but still the regional disparities exist in India. And along with the regional disparities, the social disparities also exist in India. That's why providing the inclusive growth along with the sustainable development and we can also go for the promotion of local languages. So we are going for the language registers as well. We are trying to go for the language registers. This is how you can go to reduce the marginalization through diversity. Because diversity is a very good thing in Indian society, which is making the India stand on the wheels, which can't be thrown away. That's why this diversity should help India. It should not hinder India. This is how we need to write answer to this sort of questions.